Welcome back to episode 2 of Final Fantasy IX. We previously left off being shot out of the sky from a mad queen because we were stealing her illegitimate daughter. And things couldn't possibly get any worse. I mean, that's the way I see it. Oh god, Clown Brigade. I wish I could rename Cinna. I name him Randy. No. Pretty sure that trumpeter on the bottom is dead now. You see his way, his back, just... Ooh. That's not dark at all. Uh-oh. 8 is a system. So, it's this game's way of giving you an option to skip optional cutscenes. Some of them you'll need to see in order to progress your side quests. I'll probably choose to pick all of them. Do you open your store yet? Apparently not. Always check that magnet. Nothing? Alright, let's save. This forest is evil. Better watch out. Like that frog? You don't know what that frog has been through in its life. We're gonna give early thunder to Vivi for obvious reasons. Good point. Uh-oh. I got an achievement for viewing an unavoidable script. So I've accidentally clicked Tidal Flame there and lost the game. Definitely have done that. Look at that dodge, skill. Common knowledge. Help me. Magic seems effective. Try casting magic. This fucking game. Nice. Cool. Waste turn stemming. I don't care. I don't want to have to heal VV. Man, still dodging. Still skill. No, he just said you become beef jerky. Is beef jerky death? No. Stupid 6-year-old. But you're already poisoned, so just drink it. Yep. Call your boss a big coward and just loot his chest right next to him. Tell him how you really feel, Zidane. Friggin' body shaming a 15-year-old lolly doll. What a perv. Scumbag perv. Guess she's not important. Jacking more loots. More loot. I think that's everything in this room. So, you get to see more scenes the more you say no, and it'll eventually force you to say yes, so I'm just gonna show you all of them. See, don't miss much, but it's there. Very well blended in chest there. Is there anything else? I don't think so. Wrong button. Let's see. Any loots? Ooh, a nice rubber helm. More loots. And you do get to buy items from him now, I believe. No, I guess it's only after you leave. Well, Since I didn't get any random encounters and leveled up, I'm going to the stuff. I'm going to save just in case on this next one. Probably gonna have to chug some potions, which is not ideal. Maybe it's one of those guys that opens the shop. Yep, it's after the fight that you get to shop. There's another try to be hidden chest right below him. Him being Zidane. Hopefully only need that one potion. It's not like this is a hard fight, I'm just gonna try to attempt to steal the sword. So obviously trying to steal the sword, you're gonna get hit. Could you ask for a better start? I think he only has like a high potion left, so this scenario will just tickle him, I guess. He does have a chance to trip. Please don't end my Laifu. If he didn't stumble there and did his full powered attack, there's a chance I could have died. Ow. Sick burn. Never understand what it's like. Everyone needs a waifu doll. So, how many of you guys on a subsequent playthrough of this game named him Rusty? And he takes the doll with him, because why animate him dropping the doll? It's like, no, 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 you're coming with us. Where the translation team's subtle way of trying to say that plants don't like fire, and there are elemental weaknesses in this game. Of course, couldn't tell that they were weak against fire there. It's not like it said weak or anything. That's one of the reasons why I want to say this game, it's not the easiest Final Fantasy. I'll tell you which one I think is the easiest Final Fantasy when we get to it, but I think this is the most beginner-friendly one. It doesn't try to shove like elemental weaknesses down your throat and you have to know everything. The game is easy enough without it. And some bosses in this game will like look like it's of a certain affinity, and it will cast like there's this one boss in here that will cast blizzard spells but is weak to ice, and it's just like, okay, don't even punish me for doing something stupid like casting what it's casting. Cause he's gay. I don't know if that's a popular theory. I might have just came up with it. But that's usually what writers are trying to insinuate when they say not my type. Thanks. Here's a bunch of stuff you already you, you I really wish games like, granted, that's not that bad of a tutorial. It's just like one line of dialogue. Who cares? Final Fantasy 14 online contest adds player design gear to the game. Bet it's crap like all the other times. Sorry, phone. I'm not gonna abuse the money too much and just buy a small stock of stuff. See, I've chose Magnet at 2 times where like triggers or flags were triggered, but now there's another one. So every time you have like a story trigger, check the Moogles. Let's just save, because now we're about to actually fight stuff. I might grab a level or 2 before we fight the boss. That shouldn't take too long. Shouldn't have to cut it out. But if it does get cut out, you won't know. So, no big deal. Just start with the lower defense one. He needs to finish learning Beast Killer. Just get the broadsword on. Man. Could also... Not that, this. That'll... Can also save some time. Not have to friggin' grind. I can just equip the best gear. Fun fact, Beast Killer's like the only thing that translates over to Opera Omnia for Zidane. The guy with the cymbals is obviously triggering me. God, I couldn't sync it up to the song, like, at all. Let me at least get to level 2! So because my phone decided to rudely interrupt me and tell me something about Final Fantasy XIV, man, I love me some Final Fantasy XIV, but my god, has it done a lot of stuff to make me not want to play it. One of the biggest things I like about that game is the music. Specifically, like, the primal fights and whatnot. But they even had to go and ruin that by making it like, oh, well, if you want to get one of these mounts, you're gonna have to sit through 99 runs of it, and by that point you're gonna get sick and tired of them, and it's just like, it's just not the same anymore at that point. And then they have like dry spells of just bad ones. Let's see, like Ifrit's, like, it's not even a theme to me. That one was terrible. And then you go to do Garuda and you're like, ah, nice, but that quickly wears off on you. Titans is okay once you get to the last couple of phases. I'm gonna force the ATE here. And what came after that? Mog? You know, Mog's pretty gimmicky, it's nice, but every time you hear that song playing in your trial roulette, you just wanna kill yourself. Leviathan, which is the biggest joke. After Leviathan is Ramuh, and Ramuh's is amazing. And after Ramuh is Shiva's, and Shiva's is amazing. Foreshadowing! Let's see, at that point, getting in the Heavens Ward, Bismarck's is whatever. My friend liked it way more than I did. Ravana's was interesting, to say the least. Thornton's is good, but the part that they considered is his theme for, like, doing the extreme version is the wrong half of the song. So I was super duper upset when I got the bird. Let's see, what came after that? Sephiroth? Yeah, I wasn't even playing at that point. Power Man 5000? Really? Nidhogg's is terrible. And and it's not until Sophia that we get a good one. Servants is whatever. So, like, Heavensward just blew. But then you get the Stormblood. Oh my god. And then you do Susanoo, and it's just like, yeah, whatever. But then you get the Lakshmi, and it's like, bro, this is the best song in the game. The whole entire game. I had no problems doing that fight 109 times. In, like, the first patch. I think that's the thing to steal there? But yeah, the other thing I like about 14? Oh my god. Is I like raiding, just in general, in MMOs, but this game's... this game's raid scene blows. It's like, sure, yeah, when the first raid tier came out, had like server 7th on the T4 clear on Gilgamesh, but then my team just exploded when the raid leader heard that you couldn't beat Twintanya because there's a bug. So a leader just quit and wanted everyone to jump ship to WoW, which was at Mists of Pandaria at the time. And ever since then, I have never been able to find a good raid group. Not saying that first one is even that amazing. We're just like, take Sigmascape, for example. The whole entire time, I'm parsing oranges. Like, every week to week. Like, all of the fights in my historic best percentile are all oranges, except for Kefka, because my team just never warranted me using pots. Because I had no idea when they were going to give me a good run. So yeah, I play Red Mage, and I'm one of the higher parsing ones on my current server, which is Leviathan. And I think I could easily have been in like the first like the third to like fifth Red Mage on our server to beat God Kefka, but the team just like did so much annoying crap. Like our Paladin and Ninja went on vacation when we needed to prog Foss Kefka, and when we pugged it, we managed to beat it without them. So that was like the only fight that I finished before my X-raid team. Ah, son of a bee. I should have healed him. Oh wow, they hit for 72? Oh wait, I took off his... Never mind. I took off his armor. That's why. Please don't immediately one-shot Zidane. Again, please don't be Zidane. Thank you. So yeah, like, we just spent way too much time just trying to just start progging where we should have been. And I just felt like we kept getting behind and more behind and more behind. And then, like, strategies we would have discussed, they like, when it became the new raid week, they just forget that we discussed it. And then when I'm all like, hey guys, did you guys forget how we decided to do this? They'd literally be all like, we never talked about this before. And I'm like, you can't be serious. So I just got frustrated at one point. And having to go through like weeks and weeks of this with like everyone that I know is already clearing it and they're going into Ultimate, and then half the people in my team don't even want to try Ultimate if we do beat God Kefka. And I'm just like, well, why am I bothering then? This clearly isn't the team for me, and I can never find a team that is for me. And when I play an MMO, I'll eventually get to the point where I don't want to feel like all I'm doing when I log in are nothing but dailies. But that's all Final Fantasy XIV essentially is dailies and weeklies. There's really nothing to do outside of doing dailies and weeklies that are also locked behind a queue. So if I don't have a tank friend to do this stuff with, it takes a long time, and then I will get like this level of where the hell did Duty Finder find these people levels of bad just for a simple expert roulette. And you, like, if you get a competent tank and healer, your co-DPS will just be absolutely awful. Like, single targeting as a monk when there's 20 mobs there, when they don't realize perfect balance got buffed. And it's like, if you actually knew how to play your class, you would know Monk's AoE is godlike. So AoE, it makes the dungeon go faster. And sure, you might not care about one specific dungeon going a small amount faster or slower, but you gotta understand, it's an expert roulette. People are doing this once a day, every day, in theory. So if you add up how much time that is over a whole pick a sector, like, okay, so that's 15 minutes times 7 if you did it all week. And then 15 minutes times 30, 31, 28 for how many days of the month. And you start to see, like, shaving off time on that starts to add up. And once you finish all these dailies, you can go off and, like, do something else. Like, I don't know, play another game, go outside. Otherwise not having to deal with shit players in the game. And God forbid, if there's someone blatantly wasting time in a super geared tank only single pulling, healers not DPSing, or your co-DPS being bad, under-geared, underperforming, whatever it is, it's always something. And you can't... And I don't even just be all like, immediately start attacking and being all like, Jesus Christ, man, you suck, let's kick this guy. I just simply say like, hey, do you mind not blatantly wasting time? Like, if both of your DPS and your healer are walking past you when you aggroed a very small group of mobs, they kind of want you to get more. So, could you please not just stand there doing nothing? And if one of your DPS or healer does go past you and pull something to you, there isn't any bigger of a sign that your team is telling you you're too slow at this game. So those guys at that point who make zero effort to pick up the mobs and then people start dying, and it's like, yes, because of your very friggin' small ego, by not just picking up these mobs, you're gonna waste people's times even more. And then, but that's the thing, people who play Final Fantasy XIV do not care about their time. They only care about their feelings. So whenever I say, hey, someone's wasting time, they're all like, chill, who cares? And I'm like, clearly I do. This is... expert content is grind content. Why would you not want grind content to go as fast as possible? I'm not saying you have to optimize every nanosecond. But I guarantee you, you weren't playing the game when the Nova Step was relevant back in ARR. You didn't have to farm. I don't even fucking remember what was it, like 36, 42 some odd Brayflock speedruns a day to get 2 Alexandrite, plus the daily one you'd get from doing the 50 roulette, just to finish the Nova Step in 25 days? Yeah, so why would you want each Brayflock speedrun to go 7 minutes because you decided to bring a Paladin or a Scholar? Or a not Black Mage or Bard DPS? When you don't even have to have everyone be top geared, but if you just are competent and your DPS know what they're doing, you could easily do it in under 2. So yeah, like, take 36 runs, if that was the number, times 5 minutes, and you'll understand why someone like me who's played this game from the beginning doesn't want content that they have to do over and over, especially like in Stormblood. Every time, if you get Brayflocks now, you're just like, man, I remember when I used to run like 2/3 of this dungeon in 2 minutes, and these people can't even do it in 5, and their gear is so much better, even with the sync down. It's just frustrating. And then some of the patches that have been coming out, like, no, they're adding in things to the game no one asked for. Like, who the heck wanted the Astrologus thing? Who wants a MOBA inside Final Fantasy? If anyone who actually wanted to play a MOBA, they could easily download Dota 2, which I don't recommend. The game's shit. It's League of Legends. I wouldn't recommend. The game is not fun. Or Smite, which I think is the best of the 3, for free, and go try a real MOBA. So now, going to tie that back into a thing I said before, if you were not wanting to play the crappy MOBA that's inside 14, and you wanted to go try a real one, you probably still need to log in 14 and do your dailies. So again, why would you not want your dailies to go faster? Okay, that took a long time for that to register. This isn't grinding, I just want to go to that side place just because it's a place you can go. There's a cutscene for doing it. I'm just gonna grab it. I'm gonna kill the things along the way. It's not grinding, it's just taking what they give me. And I don't know how long they intended to make the initial primals, Susano and Lakshmi, to be able to buy their mounts for 99 tokens. I don't know how long they planned for that to take, but when it finally got asked in a live letter to Yoshi P, his response was so asinine. He was like, you know what, that's a good idea. Like, I'm gonna tell my team that to have this in by the next patch. And then there was like a small patch that they could have done it, but even before then, the deadline was to do it in the next big one. And I'm like, how long does it actually take to add those two items, especially when it's something you've done before, to an NPC? I'd imagine it should just be going inside a table and adding in the whistles and setting it to the token and setting the amount to 99. And it shouldn't take much playtesting to make sure it works too. And I'm just like, why did it take so long to get that? So I don't, like I said, his response made it sound like they don't have like a timetable for when that should come out. It seems like no one thought about it. And then he's all like, hey, here's a deadline that's way too long, actually. And they took the entirety of that deadline just to give me my Lakshmi mount. Because in my 109 runs, I only saw it drop twice. And the first one wasn't until run 54, and I rolled, ironically, a 54. Then, there's the issue of jobs. Don't get me wrong, they have steadily been going in a good direction, for the most part. But I never liked anything until they gave us Red Mage. Let me rephrase that. I never fell in love with a job until they gave us Red Mage. Nothing was quite there. The closest thing was level 50 Black Mage. I didn't think it was an improvement at 60. The gameplay was, it's just something like A11 just made it terrible to want to do. It's like optimizing Black Mage in A11 is actually the worst thing you can possibly do in that game. I gave up with it. In AR, I played Dragoon while I was an active raider, and then when I stopped, which is in the middle of T9, I cleared like T8 twice, and then pretty much stopped. Because it just... Me and my friend quit our static, and then was way more successful in a pug, but no pugs ever wanted to even try 9. So we just gave up. Then I switched to Black Mage. I think that was my controller unplugging. Is there... Yeah, there's no friendly monster here. That's not till Delhi. And they could never get the balance of the classes quite right. Like, Warrior just destroyed everything during Heaven's Ward. And everyone was complaining about how hard Dark Knight was, and I was like, you can't be serious. And then trying to find a raid group at the start of Heaven's Ward is even worse. Like, all you guys are all like, you don't know pain until you got to A3. And it's like, I'm like, my pain was trying to find a group that could even last more than 20% on A1. Because at that point, me and my friend were on Siren, and Jesus. This is before they had Crossworld Party Finders, so all we had was Siren. And there were only like 2 groups on Siren doing anything at that point. So I hard quit Heavensward until like the last couple of weeks before we got Sophia patch. And I came back, joined what I would call my X group right now, or the one that I referenced as my X group before, the one that we were not necessarily racing Sigmascape against, but it would have been nice. Joined that. Me and my friend switched to Leviathan, which was supposed to be the second best raiding server at the time. It was on a completely different data center from Gilgamesh, because we met a lot of assholes in Gilgamesh. They had Monk open, which is my friend's favorite job that's not Warrior. But the only other spot that they had was Machinist, which I just finished leveling. And didn't even necessarily like, but it's all like, hey, we just moved here, and there's a group right there that we can fit inside. And oh my god, that's... hindsight. It's a number. Went with that group. That Warrior was utter shite. Eventually took 4 of us from that group and remade it. My friend got to then take the Warrior position. I got to switch to Black Mage. And then things are going good there, except we can never fill the whole party. But we eventually beat Alexander. So the little blowy clouds are automatic fights, I believe. Oh yeah, I'm just, in general, pretty salty about Final Fantasy XIV. I put a lot of time and effort into learning the game, playing it. At this point, I'm getting nothing in return. So I'd figured, let me save some money. Let me skip a raid here. Spoiler alert, not a gigantic fan of Final Fantasy VII. If that's going to be the next raid tier, Snoozeville. Because hear me out. Sure, we just got Exdeath. Sure, we just got Kefka. But nobody wants Sephiroth. Well, now I'm just speaking for people. Hear me out. I think Sephiroth should be some kind of, like, ultimate fight. Later on, like, when we get the expansion where that increases the level cap to 99, that's where I would want to fight Sephiroth, as some kind of, like, ultimate fight. That would be dope. And it's not like if you remove Sephiroth transforming into safer Sephiroth, if you follow trends, there isn't anything worthy of there. You could easily make whatever the next thing that they're going to be, like Gamascape, whatever it is. You can make the 11 Genova. and it transforms through all of its stages. And then 12, you fight a version of Omega. We don't actually kill it, it just like... I don't know, like it should tell you something like not bad, but let me give you another round leading into the next expansion, which then we'd get Ultimecia / Griever into Kuja Trance Kuja into Braska's final Aeon. And I think that would be one insane raid expansion. But they won't give us that. They're talking about extending the expansion. So then Final Fantasy VIII's Ultimecia / Griever is now going to be the next thing. Or they're going to extend it to just fight Omega. And I don't like either of those scenarios. Especially since if I'm going to skip the 7 that's 100% coming, I would definitely have to come back for 8. Which I would much rather it be off the back of a new expansion. Because then I wouldn't have to worry about catching up with gear. So yeah, when we do get the Final Fantasy VIII raid, I'll probably go back to 14. But until then, probably not. I'm like one fight away from leveling up. It's like, never mind, it only gave one mob. He looks high AF. I wonder who it's attacking! But I'm not against... I don't have my sub up, but I'm not against making a video on a couple of small pointers on Red Mage that maybe not all of them know about. If you guys want Red Mage tips. Teach me, Mogster! I do believe that it's either in this game's like actual physical game manual from way back in the day, or one of these guys' lectures here actually spells out that MP stands for magic points and not mana points. So if you ever get to some kind of Final Fantasy trivia contest and someone tells you what does MP stand for and it's not magic points, they're wrong. Alright. I wonder how this is gonna go. 'Cause, you know, difficulty mod / This is probably one of the lower levels you should be when you want to steal stuff from this. I'm going to attempt to. The small guy, I don't recall having a good steal, but the big one does. So I don't want to get too hung up on stealing in this playthrough. So I'll just kill the small guy, and then I'll try to steal the good thing from the big guy. Class balancing in Final Fantasy XIV is so out of whack. Like, at the end of Deltascape, the two highest parsing classes was Monk and Black Mage with some Summoner up there too. So, as a balance pass for Sigmascape coming out, what do? Buff Monk a lot. Revert Black Mage's potency on Fire 4 back to what it was before the expansion dropped, and then slightly nerf Summoner. And I'm just like, what the hell did that accomplish? It's like Samurai's still kind of a joke unless you have the best Samurai in existence. And you got Red Mage, which is like parsing last behind classes that offer so much more utility than it, because it actually has none. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Red Mage has no unique utility. The only time you can say the instant cast res is a thing is if your team is dying 4 times in 1 minute. Because both healers have swift cast res and should be rezzing people before the Red Mage, because it's still a DPS. Having to waste your dual cast is a 300 potency loss. It sets back your mana by 11, and if it's a certain point in your mana, it can be even more. Because there is a scenario where it could have put you over 80-80, but now you have to cast twice to get over it. Embolden seriously needs to be retuned. If they're gonna make that devotion change that they did, along with Ifrit's Radiant Shield, they're actually about the same. Everyone gets to benefit. Wow, one Tri-Mithril Dagger. Everyone gets to benefit from Devotion. Other casters do not get to benefit from Embolden. Hell, there's even scenarios where the Red Mage doesn't even benefit from Embolden because you got a ninja screaming at you that it wants it for Trick Attack. Which you obviously have to do for Raid Sing. But if your team isn't good enough, you don't want to. So, what else does it offer at that point? If your healers can instant res, and then another caster who can take your slot also has an instant res, How can you say that that's a unique utility? It's not. Oh, right, trigger. So if you take into account... What? You can't be serious, game. That wanted me dead. The Blizzara and the Tsunami are scripted when it falls below 50 and 25%. So even if I potion there instead, that wing was still already queued up to come out. So that's some bullshit. Don't have anything that resists ice. So, considering something like Summoner has an equivalent power to your Embolden with Devotion and Radiant Shield, it's still just... And Swift Cast Res once a minute. Why was it top parsing for like 2 expansions? And yet the Red Mage was bottom. Like, it was some kind of godsend. And I hear you right now, comment section. You're gonna say, well, Red Mage is it's a prog class. And I'm like, anything's a prog class. And then you're gonna tell me that it's absolutely invaluable to have everyone alive when a new mechanic happens. And I say, to who? And the only answer to that question are people in the World First race. Because you want to know what some casual / mid-core group is going to do? They're going to watch a friggin' video or read a guide of what happens when everyone is alive. So, like, that already right there is just null and void. It's such an antiquated argument that only matters to a very small fraction of the already very small fraction of raiders in this game. Now, I'm not saying Red Mage should do as much or more than the other 2 casters. They got the casters now. I think nowadays they have the casters in the proper order of what rank they should come in versus each other. But the discrepancy of how far down Red Mage is on that list is just, it's not justified. So if Black Mage is 1, and Summoner is, I guess, 3 at this point? Out of the 9 DPS, Red Mage should be 5th. It's still the caster slot. The caster is supposed to chunk. But you know where Red Mage is? It's last. It's 9th of 9. It is in 9th place out of the 9 DPSs, and it offers nothing unique. Like, look at how much utility Bards give. Look at how much utility Ninja gives. You have Trick Attack, you have Threat Manipulation. bards, they have crit and direct hit permanent buffs, Troubadour, Mage's Ballad, like all that stuff that a red mage simply can't do. And it's just like, why does a red mage do so little? When in actual practicality, all it does is damage things. It's like, sure, you have Addle and Apocastasis, but it's caster roll class. It doesn't do anything anymore. And then you got other classes, and then like half the population of my job is stupid and doesn't think it needs buffs. And I don't know where these guys are coming from. It's like, do you actually play the job? Do you actually look at statistics and rankings on FF logs? Do you actually do any of this? Because the class isn't fine. I'm gonna safety potion. And then you got representatives of the other jobs bitching and moaning a lot louder than the smart red mages out there. And they're all like, Dark Knight's a problem! And it's like, sure. It's definitely third. Out of all the tanks, it could definitely use some love. But that's largely because of how Square Enix designed it. Sure, something like the potencies could be tweaked to give it some power, but it's largely just its design that's holding it back. And Dark Knight is my favorite job in the series, and so I was really upset that they made it a tank. I'm just not a tank. I learned how to play it. It's my tank of choice, but my god. I actually had a guy in Eureka tell me that Scholar was so underpowered that it needed a skill to guarantee auto-critting at Loquium. And I'm like, I can't take you seriously. I actually can't take you seriously. Scholar has always been the best healer. And that skill would be absolutely busted. And if you think Scholar needs something like that, I guarantee you, you do not know how to spread ad low. Spread crit low, I should say. That thing can just skip mechanics. I think you look at something like Dragoon, and it offers Battle Litany, Tethers, Piercing res down for the guys who do piercing, which even a red mage has. And it's just like, look at all of that unique stuff that it can do. And it's practically a staple in every single group. And it's 5th on the DPS tier list, and it's all like, that shit just doesn't sit right with me. Now, if things were just a little bit off, that'd be one thing, but I don't know, like, everyone, like, before controller unplugged again. Give it a sec. Okay, there we go. When Stormblood just came out, Sure, Red Mage and Samurai were dominating things, but that's largely because most people were playing it. All of, like, the good goons weren't really good gooning at the time. It was just the people that were like, oh, I'm not interested in these. I'm just gonna keep playing my goon, but I was never a good goon to begin with. An especially substitute summoner in here, and they just kept bitching about how the class is terrible. And I'm like, I don't see how you could have read the spoiler of what was like the Dragoon changes before we got the thing, see that all of your skills got 40 potency buffs, and say the class is terrible. I don't get it. You're actually insane. And I thought Summoner looked fun, and then when I actually played Summoner, like leveling it up, I thought it was pretty fucking awesome. In fact, it was one of the more fun jobs I leveled up to 70. And I don't think that class should exist before 70. It's extremely boring at 50, it barely changes at 60, and at 70 it's amazing. And again, that's me just leveling it up to 70. I've never actually casted Demi Bahamut. Don't get me wrong, I've have the ability to look up the rotation and then learn it, muscle memory it. I have that ability. But like in the group I just quit, the warrior kept giving me shit, saying all like, yeah, your opinion's irrelevant because you're not a summoner. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, dude. I'm the best performing person in this team. And he's like, yeah, but now imagine if you're a summoner and doing that. I'm just like, yeah, get out of here. I never once had anyone tell me, oh, why are you a goon in AIR? Go monk instead, it does more. I never was told, hey, go do something else in Heavensward, because that's a black mage. It's not until I go red mage in Stormblood, and now people are telling me is like, oh yeah, your class is shit, you should go something else, because the discrepancy of power was just that astronomical. And there's no hint, no word, no nothing about them doing anything to Red Mage. And you can just you can even make it a numbers game. The mana generation for AoEing as a Red Mage is off. It's 100% off and needs something for it to make sense. Now, in an expansion where they're trying to less complicate things and remove clutter and whatnot, why is your AoE rotation different when there's 3 targets or anything more than 3 targets? Because versus at 3 targets, once you get to cast number about 6 into the rotation, going scatter into thunder, scatter arrow will give you more mana. How much more mana that guaranteed 11 is compared to the 6 you get from scatter with the 25% chance to proc it to 18? 16, my bad. It outweighs it. So versus 3 targets, since you would be losing no potency off of a 100 hitting 3 or a 300 hitting 1, the rotations to throw Thunder or Arrow. Especially if one of the 3 mobs has more health than the others, you target that guy with your singles and you keep everything the same. And theoretically keeping your DPS even higher for a longer period of time. And then when one thing finally does die, you will probably have a fire or a stone to start throwing instead of a jolt too. So knowing that that's how the mana numbers work, and I could write out the sequence that it happens on an average of 25% proc rate and show you how much it just starts getting out of hand. I could show you that if you want to in another video. So knowing how that interaction works, now when you get to 4 targets, your scatter's doing 400 potency. So now it's a DPS loss to do that again. But now the whole time you're just going, man, I really wish I didn't have to cast scatter because I'm not getting the proper mana gen that I should be. So they could do one of any number of fixes. They could make acceleration auto proc scatter. That would tip it slight. I don't know if how long it would take for that to not be a thing anymore. For it to I could recalculate the numbers if that was a thing, but at least it would be so small at that point that no one would bother. They could increase the proc rate to 33%, or God forbid 50. Or they can just make it more than 3 to begin with. Because even if they made Scatter's mana gen so broken that someone now thinks to use it in the single target rotation to build mana faster, the potency loss wouldn't be worth it. It will never be worth it to do that. So you can make the AoE regen as disgusting as possible. Because Red Mage's AoE is very lackluster until you're spending your mana. Now, obviously that's obvious, but once you've played the class as much as I do, like, you know how like the differences in numbers. It's like in a scenario where everything lines up. So let's take Phantom Train for instance, and I'm trying to get the friendly mob or the I don't even have any ore yet. I'd cut this out, but I'm in the middle of a rant. But yeah, I want to get the friendly mob, give it some ore, and then get the ragtime mouse as well. And I got one. Hopefully it's not ore. Yeah, it's ore. What happens if I steal from it? Can you steal ore from this thing? I'ma try. I'm probably about to regret this. Doesn't have anyway. Son. Did I just ruin everything forever because I pressed the wrong runaway buttons? I'm gonna have to look that up. Okay, what was I saying? Yeah, perfect scenario burst damage Red Mage AoE is actually insanely good. Take Phantom Train Savage, where the little boys drop down, like all the putrid passengers. If you hold the long load screen, pop Emboldened and Manification at the start of the fight, but don't use it when they come up, and when they are back up, don't waste your mana. Keep it capped at 100, and then the Putrid Passengers will come down. At that point, you can pop Diversion, and Diversion, Embolden, and a pot, and go use your Enchanted Molinet, Contra 60, Molinet, Manification, Molinet again. And then if you do scatter and it procs, and you do that other scatter, you can do a 5th Molinet before they die. And then no other class in the game can rival that in AoE. What the hell just happened? Well, I guess this is it for episode 2. I'm probably gonna have to fight that stupid boss again. But I'll start the next recording as soon as I catch it back up. See you guys on the next episode.